Hey, you guys, what's happening? Well, you guys did a fantastic job in class today. And today we're going to do a little bit more. We're going to, very similar to the adding of rational numbers, but we're going to subtract rational numbers. And now, if you remember from our previous unit on integers, there was some specific rules for subtracting integers. And what were they? Well, the golden rule, what we had was we add the opposite. All right, so what does that mean? Well, if we go -5 minus 7, and we follow our rule of add the opposite, we can change it, and we can get -5 plus -7. All right, and so what that does, it's like it just helps us recognize the fact that we're adding more negative, and we're going to get -12. All right, so let's try -5 minus -7. And if we go back and we do our add the opposite, well, we're going to change our sign, and we're also going to change our other side. Two negatives make a positive. All right, so we get -5 plus +7, and we get +2. Now, what's that saying? Well, -5 minus -7, it's like we're taking away negative. So we're taking away, if we call negative bad, we're taking away the bad to get good. And we look at our number here, 7, and it's larger than -5, so our answer is going to be positive. Now what we need to do is shift our thinking into fractions. We need to add these rules for integers into fractions. So what else do we also need to take care of? We need a common denominator. And we need to turn mixed fractions into improper fractions. All right? And when adding or subtracting, we keep the common denominator. And finding common denominator is sometimes very difficult, and if you want to be better at that, it's a really good idea to go and practice some times tables. There's some games online. Go practice some games instead of looking on Facebook for, just a couple minutes. All right, well, let's try an example. This says 5/6, or 5/6 minus 4/3. Well, we need to get a common denominator first, and our common denominator here is going to be 6. So we're going to multiply this side by 2, and whatever we do to the top and bottom, we have to do to either or. All right, so we're going to get 5/6 minus 8/6. And now we're going to add the opposite. So we get 5/6 plus -8/6. You can put your fingers over the 6's and say 5 plus -8. Well, we're adding negative, so we're going to get -3/6. Now we can reduce this. We ask ourselves, what goes into 3 and 6? Well, 3. So we divide by 3 and divide by 3, and we get -1/2. All right, let's move on. We have -5/4 minus -3 1/5. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to get that mixed number into an improper fraction. So we've got -5/4 minus, and we're going to go 5 times 3 plus 1. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16/5. Now, we have to keep our negative in there. Now, we're going to get a common denominator. And our common denominator, the easiest way, if you ever can't do it, is we multiply the denominators by each other. So our common denominator is going to be 20. So we'll go 4 times 5, and whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top, and 5 times 4. And once again, we have to do the same thing to the top. And we get -25/20 minus -64/20. Okay, now we're going to add the opposite. That means when we've got two negatives, we make a positive. And we ask ourselves, well, we put our fingers over the 20s, and we say, well, negative 25 is smaller, or 25 is smaller than 64, so our answer is going to be positive. So negative 25 plus 64, we're going to get 39 over 20. And we can put that into a mixed fraction, and we're going to get 1 and 19/20. All right? Either or would work. All right, last example here. And we've got 2 1/2 minus 4 7/8. Well, we need to get them both into improper fractions. So we go 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we get 5 over 2. Minus 8 times 4 is 32. 32 plus 7 is 39 over 8. And then we need a common denominator. Well, if we look at 2 and 8, we can use our 39 over 8, and we can just multiply this side by 4. Whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. And we get 20 over 8 minus 39 over 8. Well, we can add the opposite, so we get 20 over 8 plus negative 39 over 8. Put your fingers over the 8s. And then 20 plus negative 39, we're adding negative. So 39 is bigger than 20, and we're going to get negative 19. And we can put that into a mixed number and ask ourselves, how many times does 8 go into 19? And we get negative 2 and 3/8. Both would be acceptable. All right, your task is to go on to the next page and try this question. A diver jumps off a cliff that is 14.7 meters above sea level. After hitting the water, he plunges 3.8 meters below the surface of the water before returning to the surface. I want you to use rational numbers to represent the differences in height from the top of the cliff to the bottom of his dive. Sketch it on a number line, right? And then I'd like you to answer B. All right, take care.